Okay, people, Oda is at it again. And this time we have some more news. Like I told you guys, if anything comes on the timeline or if we get any interviews, any information from Oda where I feel like would be pertinent for people to know, I will definitely talk about it. And this time we have something that's worth talking about, especially based on things people have said in the past in regards to the end of One Piece. And this is one where I'm like, Oda is just trolling, or Oda is just inciting his fans. So yes, like the title, Oda did say he is going to draw the biggest war in One Piece manga history. It says manga history, but it was a correction. The source right now is at Soulstorm OP. There are other people that are covering it as well, but this is a leak from SBS 97. So a fan asked Oda, hey, is it true that One Piece is ending in 5 years? And of course the fan would ask that because recently that's been talked about a lot, and Oda came out and said things about One Piece definitely ending in 5 years. Even some of his voice actors talked about it, the editors talked about it, so it's a very hot topic. So why not go straight to the source? And Oda decided to answer this question. Normally in SBS, as he plays around, he would answer weird questions, like really weird questions, like Sanji's, we're not even gonna go there. But the fan asked Oda, is it true that One Piece is ending in 5 years? Oda responds and says this: the most exciting part of Luffy's adventure is over. The Wano arc is reaching its climax. After Wano Kuni, I will draw the biggest war in manga history. It will be very exciting, but it doesn't end there. Oda goes on to say, I announced that the end will be in 5 years so that the reader realizes that the long story is finally reaching its end. For now, we should enjoy the exciting Wano arc. I will draw it with all my strength. Bruh. Soulstorm also makes a correction in regards to what Oda was referring to, in which the final war arc, it will be the biggest in the One Piece manga, and not the manga as a whole. So that goes back to the Marineford thing. They said it's gonna make Marineford look small. It seems like he was talking about the final saga. There's something we have to address. Basically how this is structured, Oda is literally saying he only announced that One Piece is ending in 5 years so that the readers can get used to, or the readers can accept that One Piece is nearing its end. So for the most part, as we speculated, One Piece definitely isn't ending in 5 years. Oda is just saying that so we have an idea of when the story is gonna end, but I think it's even deeper based on what he said. It's so weird because Oda also says for now we should enjoy the exciting Wano arc. And obviously Wano is one of the arcs Oda has been dying to draw, dying to get to, dying to tell us the story about Wano and everything that transpired there. And Wano of course is also connected to the Void Century, so I'm sure for Oda that is a key cog in regards to the grand scheme and the end of One Piece. But Oda, we can't just enjoy Wano because we keep getting information about other arcs, other things that's to come. It's not difficult to enjoy a strawberry, right? For instance. But when you know a strawberry cheesecake is coming up right after, then it's like, man, while eating the strawberry, all I'm thinking about is a strawberry cheesecake. So yes, I'm going to enjoy Wano as much as possible, but now all I'm thinking about is that final war arc or war saga in which you're saying is going to be the greatest arc in history. I mean, seriously, but even deeper than that. The reason why you announced it, again, to prepare the fans, I get that, but you can prepare the fans differently. Now, don't just basically tell them the story's going to end in 5 years when you know it's not, right? It's something that we talk about every single year, I feel like. And at this point, it seems like Oda, again, he's just preparing the fans. The first part of it, he says Luffy's adventure is over and the Wano arc is reaching its climax. So there's been deductions that Oda is basically saying in 5 years, Luffy's adventure will be over, right? Luffy's specific adventure will be over, meaning more than likely in 5 years, either Luffy's the Pirate King or Blackbeard's the Pirate King. And with that, you can lean on whatever side, right? I think this is even bigger news. Talking about Luffy's adventure and it ending. For most fans, Luffy is the reason why you continue the story. You want to see him accomplish his dreams. You just want to see how things will play out. Luffy's adventure to become the Pirate King, in 5 years, it makes sense, right? It definitely makes sense. For some of the fans, we could not fathom One Piece ending in 5 years based on everything that we have to cover and the end game of the story. When you factor in the world government, of course, Imu, the Celestial Dragons, the Gorosei, the world government, the revolutionaries, Blackbeard, and then Luffy, right? How do you cover all that within a span of 5 years? And people kind of estimated probably 300 chapters or so. It feels like a lot to cover in that small amount of time. In this situation, if it's being interpreted that Luffy's adventure is over or he's gotten to Raftel, become the Pirate King in the 5 year mark, at that point, we have about 2 or 3 more years in which Oda can cover that final arc. But this almost spoils things because if Oda's saying it's going to be a final war, which we kind of expected, it's telling me that Luffy and Sabo will be fighting together, right? That at the end of it is going to be an all-out war in which the revolutionaries, Luffy and his allies, they're going up against the world government to overthrow their system. This becomes extremely cumbersome because now we have people like X-Drake and Kobe and Fujitora and Smoker, who we view as quote-unquote good Marines, in which they have a decent moral compass. But how does that work out? Do you abandon the world government because you don't agree with the things that they're doing? Not necessarily because you're still a part of the Marines, but if they're fighting against Luffy's trying to make the world better, the revolutionaries, how can you sit idly by and let that happen? Are we going to see infighting amongst the Marines? I'm honestly trying to figure out how all that would be possible. How do we cover the revolutionaries going up against the world government? Because all this is post-Raftel. Luffy gets there, he finds out the truth of the world, then he tries to liberate it, maybe not to save the world, but then he would understand more the impact it has on his people. Not necessarily his people, but his friends, the territories that he rules over. I was rereading Arlong Park, right? And something that really hit me was when Luffy literally destroyed Nami's room because it brought pain to her. And it made me think of Fishman Island, in which Luffy's going to destroy Fishman Island, because in a way Fishman Island is a bubble to oppress the fishmen, in which they're banished to underwater because they're not accepted on land. So for Luffy, destroying Fishman Island is a way to rid them of that pain that they've experienced for so long. So once Luffy goes to Raftel, becomes a pirate king, if that happens, and he finds out the pain that the world government has caused to even his people or people that he cares about, he's going to want to tear the entire system down. Now, I've always talked about Luffy and his idea of freedom, and it's not really logical, right? In One Piece, freedom is being able to do whatever you want to do, but practically when you apply this, it doesn't work. And the revolutionaries, what they're fighting for, what Luffy's fighting for, it's different. But I'm definitely not going to rule out the possibility of these goals aligning. I think even in the midst of this, Blackbeard is going to be really important because the order of how things work out is going to impact the end of the story. Because that's another discussion. Is Blackbeard going to be the final antagonist? Or is it going to be Akainu in the world government? I mean, it seems like Imu was being hyped up to be the final boss you overcome, but for Blackbeard, was he created just to get in Luffy's way? I think he's too great of a character to just write off after Luffy becomes the Pirate King. Either Luffy becomes the Pirate King, then he fights Blackbeard, or he beats Blackbeard to become the Pirate King, but it seems like it's going that way. Because if it's a final war, and it's the greatest war, it's going to encompass a lot of people. Could Kaido still be around? What about Shanks? There's so many things that are floating around now based on the things that Oda says. How can we just focus on the Wano arc? Yes, Wano has been good, but when you think of the end game stuff, absolutely nothing trumps that. So for Oda coming out now in the comments, he's saying, it does get you excited, but then you feel like, should they even be talking anymore? Because it's not ruining Wano at all. But now it's really hard to believe any reports that come out from Oda's camp or his editors, because even they said, well, it seems like it's gonna end in 5 years. Yes, Luffy's adventure is ending in 5 years. And then even when I talked about One Piece ending and how all the reports have been coming out, I've said personally I think it's going to be 7 years, right? 7 to 8 years. And based on this information, it could go even more. Especially with breaks and how Oda normally does things, he adds a lot. We may honestly be looking at another 10 years. So, hopefully 10 years from now we can look back at this and laugh. But oh man, Oda, I guess he can't help himself. He likes seeing his fans run around and just lose their minds, right? But this is interesting. And when something interesting comes up, I always bring it to you guys. But give me your thoughts. Okay, so it's so funny. In the middle of recording that, I got an actual longer version of what I was talking about earlier in regards to what Oda said and what the fan asked Oda. So I'm just going to go over this quickly. And there's something key that I didn't talk about that I really want to bring up that I think is really important because of how fans had set expectations. So we're going to get into that. But here we have the long form version of what the SBS said. I can't really confirm the source, so we're going to take it with a grain of salt for now, but I got to say it makes sense here. So again, here's the question. To Odachi, are you really going to stop publishing One Piece after 5 years? Even if it was actually announced, such a thing for the fans is sad. A lot of friends around me shed tears because of this sudden announcement. What I want to say right now is, what will you do for us? But I hope you take your time. And the answer is Oda saying yes, to say that I will stop, or the most enjoyable part of Luffy's adventure. The One Piece itself will come to an end, so I'm done. And it says he means that he will not stop, but the story is about to come to an end. I guess that person who translated it, they're inserting their own thoughts. I will have to draw the biggest war in the history of One Piece, which is very exciting. This is why I told the readers that the story is already coming to an end, asking them to prepare themselves for it. So I said what I said, but now, however, events in Wano are burning. Enjoy it at your convenience, and I will draw it with all my strength. This just clarifies everything I said earlier in regards to Oda, basically saying in 5 years, that's the end of the most enjoyable part of Luffy's adventure. But on the other hand, he's saying the One Piece itself will come to an end, but then he's also saying he will have to draw the biggest war in the history of One Piece. So this tells me a few things. The enjoyable part of Luffy's adventure, which is the journey, obviously, it comes to an end. So either Luffy becomes a Pirate King or something happens in which he doesn't. I've been speculating for a while that Luffy, once he gets to Raftel, Blackbeard will get there as well. Maybe Luffy has to make a choice between a crewmate and the One Piece, and he of course picks his crewmate, and then therefore Blackbeard gets that leg up, and then we have the final battle between Luffy and Blackbeard, and then we transition to the world government stuff, which Oda is saying is the final battle in One Piece. This is something that we have to wait for the exact SBS before we come to this conclusion, but based on what Oda is saying, it seems like post-Wano, he's going right into the final saga, in the final arc. More than likely the final saga. So in that case, can we expect Elbaf? I've touched on Elbaf before, and I think it has to be a thing, but it really could be montaged through, especially if Oda is going to focus on the final war. Now, the reason why Elbaf I think has to be touched upon is because the Giants, they've been hyped up to be the strongest army in the world. You really don't hype them up unless you're going to have them prove it. So I think the Giants, they're going to have to participate in this final war. Everyone that's alive who has some clout, they will be a part of this final war. Even Pell. So again, with all this information, all I can say is Oda is going to be Oda. So take this with a grain of salt, but I think with all the reports coming out, One Piece is coming to an end. And like I've said before, 5 to 8 years, right? Around there. If we get to 10, I'm not surprised. But yeah, guys, give me your thoughts. How do you feel about all this? Is Oda releasing information again, getting his fans excited or sad or happy? It depends on what you want One Piece to be. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter at BragoDH. Follow me on Instagram at Brogody.ace. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Again, like and subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.